Hello there, this is Japor, and we're going to be talking about Mountain Blade War Sales, the DLC. Now, I will want to do a video just exploring my kind of thoughts and opinions on this DLC. First major release for Bannerlord, since its 1.0 release. This is the first DLC, which has come with a bit of criticism. And I just, want to get my opinion out there. Not that I think that I'm going to be shaking any ground here, but just because my perspective has definitely been different to a lot of complaints that I've seen. Some of the criticism is definitely warranted, but overall I think from the get-go, like TLDR, you don't have to watch the rest of the video, but I think this is good DLC. I think it's fairly well priced. I'll get into like each of the different aspects that this DLC adds, like the stealth mechanics, the changes to the world map, the sailing part, of course, which is the big factor for this one, and all the little things as well that have kind of changed basically Bannerlord forever, and how you play it, which is I think not a bad thing. Alrighty, so, and I'm just going to play Bannerlord as we do it. So I'm into, just whilst you know, I'm about, it would be about well, actually, let's go off my original clan. This is my leader at the moment, Hal, who's now King of the Nords. So Nords being the new faction that was released, and I basically just wanted to make this a Viking playthrough because, when More Sales was released, that was basically what I think everyone kind of flocked to it for, was that whole, being able to raid villages and things like that on your Viking ship with your Huskarls. That was kind of the fantasy there. So that's basically the playthrough I've been doing. One of the modules that came with this DLC is a time, it basically makes time move faster sort of module, which you can disable, but I think it's actually really good. I was a bit nervous about using it because your character ages a lot faster, but their skills also level up a lot faster too. So my original character has died, and I've now taken over his son, which probably happened to me. I have about 1,000 hours, just over 1,000 hours in Bannerlord, and this is only something that's ever happened to me once before, and that's because I played a really long playthrough, and it was the most frustrating thing, choosing your next character, because it takes so long to level up skills. And by the time before this War Sales DLC, before this faster time, I'm just going to turn off sound whilst I'm talking, whilst this faster module is on, it's not the end of the world when you change character, because you have plenty of time to level up. Whereas before, if you change character, your son would probably already be in their 30s, 40s, and I don't know, it just took too long, and it wasn't very fun, and I had a lot of playthroughs where I quit because of that. So what should we start with first? Well, I'm thinking we'll start with so maybe the big one, which is the ships themselves. So a lot of complaints about the ships is that what you can do with them. So I think the max battle you can have, and that's only when it's army versus army, is 8 ships versus 8 ships, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, and it really isn't. I'm hoping that is one of the criticisms I have, is because this is such a pivotal part of this DLC, is the being able to have ships, fleets, that sort of thing. One big criticism is that it's such a small thing, and such a small scope of how many ships you can fight with them, fight against, and it's just not they could definitely do a lot more. In terms of the ship variety, I'm not really too concerned about the ship variety. There is the aspect where you've probably done your research, but there's things where you can't upgrade all your ships to the best thing ever out the one port. You have to go around the world, which incentivizes a bit of exploration, a bit of trade, which is nice, and basically lets you to basically get the best of everything for a specific ship, and not all ships can have you know, the best of everything. So for example, because again, as I said, I stuck to like a Nordic sort of playthrough, a very Viking-esque playthrough, I wanted to do this castle. I, you know, just wanted to keep two. Let's actually defend up here. I wanted to keep to my. Actually, it's just a second. That's fine. I wanted to keep all the different just Nordic ships, like the big Viking ships and all that. So that's what I did. I didn't really. I played with some of the other nations' ships, but I really just wanted to keep with the Nordic ships, and they're okay. They can't have things like ballistas or anything on them. You can change their sails and stuff like that, but that's about it. It's not hugely insightful, and not insightful. It's not hugely, I guess, customizable, I should say, which can be a little bit disappointing to some, but it just makes sense on others because you don't. I think if you want the best of everything, it's a bit like normal Bannerlord. If you want the best archers, you go to Britannia. If you want the best cavalry, you go to Valandia. Like, you can't expect every nation to be able to have the best of everything. So I don't really care too much about that. So the one thing about naval combat is that I do have a criticism of would be, again, besides the scope of battles, of naval battles, would be as well the skills. So we've got 3 now. We've got Mariner, Boatswain, and Shipmaster. Boatswain, I think, is probably one of the easier ones to level up because you just basically get a new boat. Mariner is also, I've seen that level up quite a lot as well, quite intuitively, but the thing is you have to really just fight a lot of battles at sea for that one. Shipmaster seems to take forever, and that's the one where you can actually increase, I believe, the amount of ships you can have in your battle. So yeah, I think that's the one. So let's see, is it up here? Maybe it's up here. No. Not sure, to be honest. I haven't really explored it too much. Could be in here too. Haven't really explored it too much. I haven't really noticed it make much of an impact. I know the Nordic troops, which we'll explore a bit later about the Nord nation. You know, they have no cavalry, but they're very good on the water. And they're very good, you know, on in melee. They only have, they're the only nation now to have a 6-tier infantry unit or unit at all. You know, who are fairly decent. But we'll get to talking about that a bit later. But anyway, so back to naval battles, they're okay. I would say that I do like the aspect of being able to park your ship anywhere, where it makes sense to. So for example, my ship fleet is here, and I'm going to get right on board, because I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, we're going to get right on board and sail away. So as you notice, the ship icon is actually, it's not a Nordic ship. I did pinch one quite recently, just to show you guys a different ship to the ones the Nordics have, because they just basically have longboats. So I just want to have a little bit of variety for this video, but let's attack this this convoy, as I've been doing of late. Well, actually, I've been doing my whole playthrough basically, a lot with my previous character. Because he was like the trader, he was the guy who raided villages as a mercenary, and then his basically whole career was that, and then this guy has actually become a vassal of Nord, and then actually became the Jarl, the leader of the Nords very quickly. Unfortunately, I kind of didn't like that for the roleplay aspect, but it, you know, I accepted it. It is what it is. I want everything you have, so let's let's just go at them. Alright, so let's attack, just to show you some things about this. So criticism, I've been reading the Steam reviews just before I got them on here, and so a lot of people say how janky and bad the sea battles are. I've not found that. In fact, a lot of the bugs that people have been talking about that they've been experiencing, I've had this DLC since day one. A lot of the DLC, a lot of the people who complain about the DLC and bugs, I have not really experienced anything major. Oops. Maybe that could be one. Never seen that before. Maybe that guy's in the water. Uh-oh. maybe let's change that build up. And let's get rid of... Oh, we've got 2 Dracos. Cool. Alright, didn't even know what I had. So, this Kitty J, I renamed it obviously, is a longship that you start with when you do the DLC quests, which is something I would recommend. So just coming back to that topic of bugs, one major one that I saw a lot of people complain about was the sister disappearing. Your sister that you start with on the campaign, normally you have to save her from a pirate hideout. Now she's locked behind this quest of this naval quest, this naval ship combat. And what I've found is, for one, if you're new to this DLC, I'd recommend you do that quest. It is quite long, but it definitely gets you a handle of just the variety that you can do with ships, the different ships you can use. It's actually quite fun. It also introduces a little bit of that stealth mechanic, which is quite fun as well. So, one thing I would recommend is that you do that, because I think a lot of people, if they had done that, if they'd done that properly, probably wouldn't complain as much about probably wouldn't complain, I don't think, as much about the jankiness, because I've not really found jankiness. I mean, ships themselves are pretty janky, but like in terms of how this DLC actually runs, I have not found anything. I just think this looks really good. One thing I have heard is you can't let someone else steal your ship whilst you're on that ship, and that is a little bit of a bummer. I would like to look around, be able to have some, just cool cinematic shots of going towards the enemy whilst not steering, but it is what it is. It's okay. It's not terrible, but hopefully that is something that comes later. But anyway, I probably won't even fight this, so I might just head back. I do have a piece to lead in this ship, which makes things a little bit interesting. Let's see if I can use it. So this is one of the bugs I've noticed. It's just on this ship. I've used other versions of the Easter, which hasn't had this issue, but that's also bad. So definitely use that. Yeah, so I haven't really experienced too many bugs. I do like the variety that, I mean, the thing is, it's a sandbox game, so it never really forces you to change how you approach things. What I mean by that is, you can attack the same ships in the exact same way that any ever. You don't need to adapt. And it's good, might be something bad. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of different functions to this. Just things like blockade running. If you've never done quest, you never know that you actually do that. Cities under siege. Try and break out. So that is there's things that I still see. Haven't had it experience because, again, don't teach me to approach digital stuff. They're probably not the most issues or mechanics that I'm so scared. I never had that no real bugs. It's just it flows pretty well, and even when you feel unconscious, like the AI seems to do a fairly good job. Let's take the prisoners. Why not? And ooh, some more. Pascal, yeah, nice one. Alright. Always good. Okay, now let's start talking about at the end of the combat, you do have opportunities to take other ships, which I did early on in my playthrough just to sell them. So when you take on like Sea Raiders and Corsairs, it's a great way to make money because ships sell for quite a lot. So yeah, it's quite nice, and you tend to be able to beat them quite handedly with just some more troops because they have just leave that for now. That's fine. if we go into a Nordic troop, Housecarls, for example, they have this little thing here, which a little ocean-looking thing there, which basically means that they have an advantage at sea. So that's pretty cool. It's very thematic, very useful, and yeah, you find that an army that you would verse on land, that you get smashed to, you'll defeat pretty easily at sea. And that brings me to another point as well, is that although we are limited to where we land, we can also get a settlement near the water to call our ships. The AI is not limited to that. They can call a ship wherever they are, whenever they want, to sail, which it doesn't really affect gameplay too much. I think it's probably a good thing, to be honest, because the AI would get confused otherwise and probably would use the sea and ocean even less than what they currently do. It's not often that you see lords take the ocean, like take sea travel. When I have noticed it, it's usually that they come via a port and they just go around and just patrol for a little bit. And that is, not. It's a little bit sad. I think I would like more travel between lords on ocean, especially for things like this. Like if I've noticed that lords for the Southern Kingdom, for example, or no, this is Northern Kingdom, if they want to get from Omar to Aragon, or Goron, sorry, I've always pronounced this Aragon in my head, don't know why. Maybe just a huge fan. Anyway, they would more likely go around than sail across. So I think more things like that would be good. Just for more experience, and just a little bit more liveliness to the world. But saying that, lords are pretty terrible at sea. Like, then the number that they have in their party is not reflective of the actual battle. I don't think I'll be able to show it to you, but I'll try. I'll try to go down here to Cyronia. But basically what I mean... Oh, there we go. Basically, what I mean by that is, although they have 81 troops, although they have 117 troops, this one might be a better example. They have a lot of ships there. That's the first time I've seen a party with a lot of ships. That's interesting. I have seen those memes though of people I've seen like ship raiders with that sort of stuff, so that's quite funny. But yeah, no, this is good. So. Probably not in this example, but say like Savos's party here had 300 people or 200 people, and you only had 100. If he only has one heavy ship, the max he can field, I believe, is like 150. So again, it goes from you're halving his army, and if you win, you get everything. So there's definitely advantages to having a good fleet, but it has nerfed the AI, I think, a little bit. So a lot of my early strategies was just raiding like local villages, and then when like keeping my ship docked nearby, and then as soon as the Lord comes to defend the village, I would go out to sea and they would follow me, and then I would immediately take them. So there is a bit of cheesing that can be done with this DLC, but that's no more than normal. Yeah, so we'll fight this, because that's interesting.
I do not know your ship.
Surrender. Yeah. Let's charge this out. So, battling with. Yeah, battle looks good. Here's my son. Alright. Cool. Let's do. Oh, here we go. This is probably one of the biggest fights I've ever done. Without the DLC. Without the. Sorry, not without the. What would the word be? Without the questline. The questline has a few big battles, which is really fun. To the point where it's almost bad, because everything that you do in the sandbox is not as good. But it's it's not terrible. It's you just have to kind of expect that. Of course, like the handcrafted stuff is going to be better than the sandbox stuff. So we take my sails away. But in terms of controls and things like that, with sailing, it doesn't not too terrible. There aren't many commands with what you can do with your ships. In terms of what you can tell the other ships to do. As you can see there was skirmish, there was engage. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, these are pretty basic ships. They have They don't have cannons, they don't have anything like that. So that's kind of the only two commands you need. So complexity there I don't think is warranted. It does its job, basically, is what I'm saying. And yeah. So I don't have a very fast ship when the sail's down, which is unfortunate, but kind of works out in a way. In terms of changes, so for any old guard here, changes that I've noticed. For Bannerlord, just on day-to-day changes, in comparison to normal Bannerlord after war sales, has been things such as ballistas. So even when you're defending your castle, ballistas I've noticed do have a limited range, so no more can just continuously shoot such groups of peasants at your leisure during a siege. You can only shoot a couple. You only have so many shots. Won't be as effective because let's build it. That's why that's happening. We are going to show some other mechanics such as jumping and kind of cheesing the AI here. Oh, if we can catch it. As I said, this Bannerlord, there's still plenty of ways to choose the game, so such as I've been able to create ships by whilst they're still the AI takes that. So there are still some definite things to do to choose this game. You know, it's still fairly good. I have Bannerlord at the moment set to its highest difficulty. I've also got it set to deaths, so heroes can die and that sort of thing. Haven't really noticed it happening too much. The only time, like, I've had no heroes, for example, die in combat just yet, touch wood. And as you might have seen, I have a lot of family members, and basically max companions for tier 5. So, yeah, it's not the end of the world, so I'm just kind of trying to show you that. And as you can see, my allies have dealt with those ships, so they're going to start moving around to engage the last one. And what we can do is we can limit how many people are rowing by then press the X, and that shows that they're only going to be half rowing, and then hopefully more of the archers that were rowing will take shots and weaken up that opposition if we get there. But if we get really lucky, what we might do is we might put the sail down. So we'll put the sail down, and we might be able to ram them, which would be pretty cool. Never actually been able to do it outside of the quest line, and it was hugely satisfying then. I don't know if it'll be satisfying now, but we'll see. Another thing that I've also only ever noticed in the campaign map, in the quest line and not in the campaign map, is fire. So you can set fire to ships by lighting their sails and that sort of thing. Hasn't happened too much from what I've seen in the campaign itself. Let's actually lower that one. So wheel around, get some walls on to wheel faster. Ooh, we're gonna do a good job at ramming our own ship, perhaps. Oh, okay. Ooh. Close miss. Oh, we might get rammed ourselves.
Get moving!
That's right, I'm sure I'll take care of that. But just whilst I talk, I'll swim into it. I haven't found a limit to how much. I haven't noticed a limit to how far you can swim. I assume there is a limit because I have seen soldiers drown, but I have not seen. Maybe there is one main characters. Anyway, well, we can go back to stealth and change the lines. So I I've seen this because it's basically what it's done. I get familiar with Bannerlord. It's changed it to the point where the old one was basically take you and some mates and abandon hideout. And at the end you get either burst the bandit leader or jewel, or just choose to kill them all. Kill my prisoner, etc. I'll do this later. That's fine. I'm not too serious about this game anymore. I've kind of lost interests. It's kind of becoming all a bit same. So yeah, as you can see, there's heaps of ships here, which if I wanted to, I could take and then sell. But I'm not too caught up about it, not doing that. So as you can see here, there's lots of different things you can upgrade on this ship. This is one of those heavy class ships. Heavy, I've noticed, has the most potential in terms of crew, and has the most potential in terms of upgrades. Yeah, and I actually haven't noticed that they're much slower either. I think they're harder to maneuver, but they're not they're not very slow. So, like, you wouldn't, for example, be, you might be forgiven to think, I'll just have a lot of little ships and sail around the big ships, and that will be my tactic. And that would probably still work, but you're not going that much faster. Like, this one is going a little bit faster, but it's got max upgrades, which is signified by that gold there. But we're just going to abandon all these. I don't really need them. So, actually, what I can do is I'll take one, and I'll show you that you can also send it to clan. So, if you take a ship and you realize you don't need it, you can send it to clan. What this basically does is it takes 8 troops out of your party for a little bit, and then that ship is now at the disposal of your clan warbands. So if I send to clan and we leave, we have 3 other parties besides us, and they basically can now, Albert now has a ship that she can use to, as I said, with what the AI can do, they can take a ship anywhere at any time to move around, and that includes joining an army. So if I was to make an army, you can't make it at sea, but if you make an army on land and then go towards the ocean, they will all follow you to the ocean. If your clan members don't have a ship, I don't know if they can join you, but I've noticed they can join you if you start your army in a castle or in a port, and then move out, like sail out. I assume they will just jump a lift with everyone else, and that is a way you can kind of circumnavigate that. And yeah, before I actually go on about the stealth mechanic, I might talk a bit more about just that thing. Is one big complaint I do have about All Sails is just the fleet. So I love the fleet, I love the ships, they look gorgeous, but you can't store them anywhere. You can't be like, I just want to take a small raiding party for the next couple of hours. I don't want to take around my big white behemoth because it's slow and I don't need that much crew space. I only want to take, 13 good men or something like that. I don't need a big thing. You can't do that. You can't drop it. You can discard it, you can send it to clan, but you can never get it back. You can't, if you send it to clan, you can't then ask the clan to give it back. It's gone for good. So that is the annoying thing, and it is kind of one of the reasons why I've kept the long ship, the KDJ, for so long. This is the ship that you start with if you do the quest. It is one of the reasons why I have kept it, is because it is just a good, versatile little ship with a pretty decent crew space. But yeah, like it is kind of disappointing that you can't just store ships at, say, a dock, for example, and come back and get it later. You have to take it with you, which does considerably slow your party speed when you're on the ocean, because you'll be undermanned. And yeah, it's just a bit of a shame as well. So a little bit annoying, but I guess when it comes to battle, it shouldn't affect your performance because you can choose how many ships you field in a battle. So I have 4 ships. Theoretically, I can only field 3 of them because my boat swaining or whatever skill is corresponding with that only lets me have 3. Because of that, I can only choose 3, but I can actually choose just 1. If I wanted to really make it hard for myself, I might verse 10, like that army that we just versed then, I might verse that with just the KTJ if I wanted to. Wouldn't, but you can do that. So it just affects your campaign movement speed. It's not the end of the world, but it is just a little bit annoying. Let's just quickly just make some random choices here. I don't really care. You're an extended family. Alright. Cool. Yes, back to the stealth mechanics. So let's go to this hideout actually. And I'll show you the major difference between the old one and the new one. The old one, as I said before, I can probably evade that. Maybe I can tease them and show you guys. They try and attack. Nords do have a bit of a bonus to embarking and disembarking from their ships, I believe, or maybe that might be a skill that you pick up. Which is useful, especially from raiding villages, which I would recommend you do if you do want to do like that Viking playthrough. It is quite satisfying, although villages I've noticed do have a much bigger militia. Like I've seen militias of over 100, which can be quite intimidating. Obviously your troops will be high quality, but just the sheer number can sometimes be enough to like wear out your troops and make it a lot harder to sail away. But yeah, as we've got here, we've got a hideout. So normally what you would do is you would approach it, you would wait for the cover of darkness, and then you and, yeah, as I said, like 10 good men or 15 good men, however many it was, can go in and slowly dispatch a bunch of poor not peasants, outlaws. Now, there's a few different things. I assume they wanted to make it stealth more of a thing, so you can do two things. You can sneak in, or you can send troops to clear it. So sneak in sounds like what it is. You basically go in under the cover. I mean, you probably should wait for darkness because that makes it easier. But you go in and you basically have a. If I show you as well, hang on. We now have a separate outfit, which is the stealth outfit. You basically go in with the stealth outfit and you slowly make your way to a certain point from which you can get 40 of your troops to come in and assist you, which is, you know, kind of cool. You don't get much of a reward for these anymore, which I think is the big bummer, and probably the biggest complaint I have about them. But the being able to send troops to clear, I don't have a problem with. I think that's actually really useful because these are interesting, or they are kind of fun at the beginning of a playthrough, but when you get to, like, especially where this character is, having to clear these little things is so annoying. Being able to send your troops in just to clear them out, so satisfying. And I've never seen you, I don't think you can lose troops from doing this. So that's quite nice too. So you just clear them out, you don't get much, as you can see. Like, that's actually a pretty good loot haul from what I've seen. I've seen way less, worth a lot less. Yeah, it's not as big as a thing ever was anymore, as big as a thing as it used to be. But saying that, I don't really mind too much. Like, it's one of those things which takes away from for me, it doesn't take away the experience too much. Alright, let's see if we can engage this person. A bit of a combat.
Now,
just so my troops can do something whilst I do nothing. Oh, I've leveled up a little bit of marina, so, ooh, there you go. What should I do? What is that? And, yeah, as I said, plenty of family. Alright, let's just excuse me. Okay. So, let's talk about the troops while we're in this battle map. There's no cav, so all the cav you see here is either imported or it's my family. And then all their troops are basically footmen. They have some amazing archers. These, if I can do a better job here, these guys right here, the God Sky, I think, I can't remember, but they are fantastic. They're probably better than, I would say, the Botanians in some ways, just because they do come with a shield, which means they do have less ammo, which is bad, but they also do pack quite a good punch. They have a good survivability once they run out of ammo. So I've noticed that, especially when it's a long, protracted fight and you have run out of arrows, and also your archers are a bit compromised, it's not a bad idea to basically get these guys being used as almost a second infantry block, because a lot of them are quite good in it, like in melee, and they can come in and flank and do quite a good job. So just some things I've noticed. Other than that, though, the Nord troops are not only looking spectacular, but also they're just yeah, they're pretty good at their job. So there was some complaints excuse me, earlier on about their performance. I believe that has been patched. I didn't really notice anything too much. I did notice I had to recruit them a lot more, but I didn't really notice too much of a, like, they were still pretty impressive, the Housecarls especially, but yeah, I haven't really noticed anything
Follow your sergeants!
like shocking, but as I said, it's been patched now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so and this is as we come back to talking about some other things. One thing I do really like about this update, which I believe is free to people regardless if they've got war sales or not, is the like the changes to things like traits. So that's stuff like you know, being called close-fisted or devious or cruel or merciful or honest, that sort of stuff. There's a lot more interaction and a lot more ability to shape your character into what you would like. There's a lot of random events which I haven't found to be too repetitive. I don't really read them too much anymore. I tend to just look at the consequences and what I think my character is doing. But overall, they're pretty good in establishing the character. I have noticed as well that these do have, so for example, when you're recruiting other lords to the nation, at one point my character was a bit of a deceptive sort of person. I was trying to get against the election. He just got a lot more gold to get me. So before I was 500,000, I started to start recruiting 700,000. But again, as I said, how my character here is the son of my original character, and my original character was basically a trade for a lot. He had a lot of money built up. So as you can see there, I have 250. I have 2,500,000. A lot of money, and it builds up really quickly because of the other new update, which is caravans and workshops are now really profitable. So basically from the get-go, I've always had, as soon as I could afford it, I've always had a companion either roving the land doing trade or going via sea, as well as had some, like, you know, siblings and children do that as well, and done it myself with the trading stuff. But so caravans are more profitable and workshops are more profitable too. I can show you that. If I go to clans, I go to fief, look at this, like, that's pretty hot. Like, all this stuff is above 400, some of it in the thousands. Like, before this update, it was, you'd be lucky to get above 200 consistently. So ever since I've been having caravans, I've always been in the positive, and this is with 3 other parties. I don't know about any other old players, but if you had one extra party, you would constantly be at a deficit. And now I have settlement income to also boost my income. I know I'm also the leader. I don't know if that gives me any money actually. But yeah, I have 6 caravans almost going all at the same time, and it just helps so much with income. And yeah, so that is the other big update. What else is there about this DLC that I like? Or that there should be worth noting? I have heard they obviously have to make changes to the campaign to fit in this DLC. People complain that this has made the world seem a bit more lifeless. And I do agree to certain aspects, like for example up here, campaign's doing something funny there. Like up here, for example, there's just nothing over here. I don't mind it too much because what it does mean is that if people do try and invade, the Nords, they have to traverse a lot of ground, and that takes a lot of time, and it gives time for the Nords to kind of clap back. But the unfortunate thing is, once people do take the Nord lands, they are very slow to react. For example, Halvik was taken really quickly by Valandia, and so was this castle. Azariah, for some reason, got it, I think, because the Lord defected, and it was only because of my intervention that Halvik is now back in Nord hands. But yeah, basically, you'll notice similar things where Valandia is still dominating, unchecked, if they go unchecked. But yeah, it is a little bit lifeless in some ways. I don't have too much of any other complaints though, besides other places in the world. So I haven't really been to Azrai too much. Obviously I did a lot of trading there at the beginning of my playthrough, but I find it works quite well with the warships, war sails, sorry. Like in terms of moving your ships and things. I do wonder if I now do a playthrough in an older style where I don't rely on ships as much, if it would be like a lesser experience. I do think that may be the case, because I think ships are just such a vital part now of getting around. So that could be the bummer there, is that you're kind of forced to use ships now. Which, yeah, I mean, it makes sense geographically, historically, but yeah, it is, I guess that could be a factor. I have, like, the normal area of this part is still quite, diverse and quite, hip and happening, but yeah, it's just mostly Valandia that seems to be, not Valandia, sorry, Nord, the land of Nord, this area, seems to be the worst, in terms of gameplay. But yeah, other than that, yeah, these are just my thoughts. I think this DLC has done a good job. I think the price point is right, and the reason why I say that is because, like, I'm Australian, obviously, by what you can tell from my accent, and like, everything on Steam is more expensive for an Australian most of the time, and if I think it's fair price at $33, I think it's a pretty fair price for this, because it does change a lot, and they did bring a lot to this game. So like, I know there are complaints because this was originally part of the plan when Bannerlord was announced, when it was in its very early stages. The roadmap was to include this sort of thing, but at the same time, like, it's been quite a long time. I imagine that is because of just the work that I've had to put into this to make it actually work effectively. I don't think this is a half-baked DLC. It feels very much pretty concise, pretty tight. As I said, I haven't really experienced many bugs besides the graphical ones. But that's no different to normal Bannerlord. I think the campaigns are actually a lot more fun because of the dynasty system actually working a little bit more with time moving faster. You actually have to make decisions about your kids and about your clan a little bit more. A little bit more effort, I suppose. For me, it's probably the most fun I've had in this game in a while. Most of my hours have come from mods, so I am a little bit saddened that this DLC obviously comes at the cost of all those mods being broken now. That is a shame, but you can always roll back, I believe. But that happens to a lot of games, and at least this came with content. It wasn't like a Skyrim update, which they fixed a creative content stuff, and now you have to change your whole load order and all that sort of stuff. So at least this came with content. At least this made some good decisions in terms of gameplay, design, changes to things like the workshops, the caravans, that sort of thing. I've noticed as well, just whilst it's a very quick thing, but there's been less rebellions, which means what you take is what you hold. This rebellion still happen, but less likely, which is nice. Yeah, it just seems to be a bit more of an emergent gameplay style. I think that's the word for it. Where it just seems more of an authentic sandbox where you can kind of do what you want. you know, whilst role playing. I think there's more tools now to allow you to do that, whereas before it was a little bit harder. You kind of had to, you're kind of forced into the same style all the time. And yeah, it was coming back to that modding sort of scenario. It is a shame that a lot of them are broken, but I do think this comes with a lot of, you know, good things as well, like the potential for some really cool mods to come out of this. I expect one of the big ones will be to just increase the ship combat size. I think that would be fantastic, but like the groundwork's there, so I think this is shaping up to be a good DLC. I'm interested to see what they're going to do next. I imagine that's probably not going to be for another like 4 years though, but you know, I think this was a step in the right direction. Yeah, and those are just my thoughts. If you have any of your own thoughts, I would love to hear them. So this has been a bit of a rant, and I apologise for that, because I've been kind of out of chest infections and things like that over the last week, so I'm a bit of short of breath and a bit flighty in my senses, but I just, you know, I have nothing else to do at the moment, so I thought I might as well give my 2 cents to the current thought process, or the current debate around this DLC, because at the moment it's seen at a mixed review on Steam, and I don't think that's entirely indicative of the quality of this DLC. I think there is quality here. Yeah, so just thought I'd get it out there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you a lot for listening. Cheers.